filming now.
Hold on.
Too late, I already pressed the button, we're rolling. Hey everybody, welcome on back to not big cosplay. Oh, what the
Do you know what channel you're
fuck?
on?
Holy shit, what dimension am I in? Welcome to Comic Conquest, where today we're talking about Moonknight episode 5. The second to last, no post-credit scene episode.
Florida Man Returns.
Florida Man Returns.
I actually don't remember. Oh, the name's Asylum. I was about to say. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Name's Asylum.
So,
in August. This episode starts off right where we left off, basically.
Right. Screaming boys in the asylum. We see Tourette, and she's like, "Whoa, guys, chill out. Welcome to the land of the dead. It's been a minute since we've gotten anybody." And we kind of established immediately off the bat that afterlives in the MC really depend where you're kind of associating with, you know. We get a call out to the Black Panther ancestral plane, which is cool, and a little hint to Konshu and the Big Panther being related. I forget the Big Panther's name, but yeah, but basically I was right. In last episode, I was like, it's probably the Egyptian death thing, where they weigh his heart. They do. So yeah.
And we should mention that they're like freaking out, and then Marc snaps back to Harrow. He snaps back to Harrow, and it was kind of weird to me because I still honestly don't know what to think about it, and I think we'll talk about it a little bit in the predictions. But he snaps back to Harrow, and he's like, his face is all beat up, and he's like, what the fuck? And then
no explanation either.
Yeah, and Harrow's just like, I'm Dr. Harrow, and you're in Putnam Mental Hospital in Chicago, Illinois.
Not a real place. Chicago, yeah. I mean, Chicago's not real.
Yeah, fake city.
But yeah, Marc starts to freak out. He's like, I'm just gonna fucking stab you, and then they snap back to not reality. And
I don't know if we want to call it that, because I don't know what's fake and what's real.
I mean, it's all fake,
intertwined. Yeah,
it's all death, but basically there's the concept that he's organized. This is how he's seeing, like, organizing his memories. But basically this episode is a clip show. Like, let's go through Mark Spector's life. We go through stuff. We see
it's like Monsters Inc., dog. They're like, what's through this door?
What's this way? And we see that Marc had a brother. We don't know his name. My theory.
Roro.
What? Is Roro?
Roro. They're like, Roro, Marc.
I didn't hear that. Never mind then.
My theory's dead.
Yeah, theory's dead. Dead as fuck. Ignore. Cut that one out. I'm talking to myself. Yeah, you got me. But anyway, we see his brother. They're like, let's go into this cave.
We should say that they're bouncing the heart, and their scales are so imbalanced that she's like, you gotta go back in that asylum and fucking balance your shit out.
You gotta learn about yourself, Steven and Marc. You gotta learn. And like,
yeah, and then it's him and his brother when they're young, and they go to this cave, and it starts raining, and Steven's following them, and Marc is not. And Steven's like, guys, wait! And
we do see that the Stephen Grant movie VHS is a real thing that did happen, and it was a big inspiration to the two boys, and that's why they went into the cave, because they're like, oh, come on, I'm Stephen Grant, ha ha ha. And
exploration!
And then it starts raining, and then the cave starts to flood, and then Steven, not the VHS, our Steven, actual Steven. Steven's like going through the cave, and then the little brother dies, and then we go fast forward, or there's probably more back to reality.
The beginning of this episode actually opened with someone getting beaten. With a mom giving a beating to someone. You can't tell who, and you're like, what the fuck was that? And then we flash back to them, and they go through these doors. They have to bounce their hearts out, and they go to a room where there's a bunch of dead people, and Marc's like, Marc sees all these dead people, and Steven's like, Marc, don't tell me these are, and then Marc's like, I killed all these people. And then he was like, but not all of them were good. Like he's trying to say, and it's all the people that he killed as the Fist of Vengeance.
Yeah.
That specifically. And then we see the kid, and there, as he's telling Steven about this stuff, there's a scale in the room that's like slowing down. And then we see a kid, and Steven's like, you know that kid? And then Mark's like, don't go till it's a kid. And Steven runs to the kid, and then we get that scene of him and his brother in the cave, and then it flashes forward to the funeral, the wake, and well, you know Mark survived because main character. But you see his mom and dad crying and people, and then he comes down the stairs in a suit, and Steven's like, it's me. And then his mom's like, fuck you! You killed my son! And then his dad's like, yo, chill the fuck out. And then he runs upstairs because I would too, is being traumatized by his mother.
Yeah.
And then Steven goes running upstairs, and he keeps running upstairs as like he sees memories flash by. And we get to this one where he runs up to the room and he shuts the door, and Steven's about to go in and see what's happening, and Mark jumps in, stops him, and he's like, you don't want to see what's in there. You don't want to see what's in there. And they come back out, and they come back outside to, I think they see Tourette again, and then they're like, what the fuck's happening? And all these souls are hitting the plane.
They're on a big boat, by the way, sailing through the desert. We forgot to mention that.
And all these like purple lights are fucking striking through the sand. You're like, what the fuck is that? And they're like, Harrow's that is bullshit again. It's working. So they're kind of moving both these stories at the same time. Like Harrow's got the thing, and
he's got. Then they don't show it, which is really cool. It's just like implied that he's released on that, and he's starting his judgment.
And they're like, fuck, we gotta go back inside. And she's like, well, we can't, they basically asked Tourette, like, you gotta help us, like, could we go back to our world? And then she's like, well, you can if you balance your souls and we go through the Gate of Osiris. But your body's gonna be fucking, if you go to your body, it's just gonna be shot.
Yeah, we gotta release Konshu.
Yeah, and then they are like, well, we gotta send a message to Layla. But anyway, she's like, you gotta balance your soul first. Go figure this shit out. And then they go back inside. And Steven's like, we gotta go to that one memory, dog. That's the memory. And then he's like, no. And they fucking flash back to Harrow, and he's like, what? And Harrow's like, you were talking about Steven in your childhood. And he was like, what? No. I don't know. You put something in me, and then he does it again. He flashes back out to Steven, and he's like, what the fuck's happening? And then they go to, I believe, they see Marc's origin story as Moonknight, I believe. I might, and you see him and leaving his house as a teenager with his dad, and he's like, I can't do this anymore, Mom. You got to tell her to stop. And he's like, and his dad's like, I don't want to lose another son. And he's like, you lost me a long time ago. And he's like, I'm going to join the military. And then we find out he got kicked out of the military.
Yeah.
And then we flash forward to the crash, that car that's flipped over, and it's he's talking about Bushman. Guys, he's talking about Bushman.
It's Bushman!
And how he was doing that mission in Egypt, and see Layla's dead dad. And then you're like, but where's Marc if he's survived? Because he was like, Bushman cut us. He's like, no survivors. And then Steven's like, no survivors, but you're and then you see like this trail of blood on the ground as fucking Marc is dragging himself towards the temple
of Konshu.
Yeah, and he's like, puts a gun to his face, and he's like, this is it. And then you hear the voice like, Konshu, Marc,
what a waste.
And then he's like, fuck. And he's like, you will be my warrior. You will be my vengeance. You will be my fist. You will be my...
Only if you say yes, though. You gotta say yes, bro.
Yeah.
And Marc's like, okay, yeah. Ooh. And then becomes Moonknight, and then Steven's like, bro, he fucking manipulated your ass from the beginning. It's a
Yeah,
toxic relationship,
It
Marc.
was like, you see that it's actually such a dope scene, I think, where Konshu's like standing over him and then the suit starts to emerge and he's like, you are my Moonknight.
You don't Moonknight's not even, Konshu's not even like in frame. You just
he's like off frame. You just see his staff.
You see his staff, and that's fucking epic.
And I think a lot of people are upset. They're like, I'm like, Konshu called him Moonknight. I'm like, yeah, because that's his name. I was like, what are you guys talking about? What do you guys want him to call him?
You will be my bitch.
Yeah, well, basically.
Got him.
And then they're like, so it's Marc's origin story, which is dope, and the lighting in the scene was kind of very different. Like the moon hitting the suit. Like there's this blue tint from the moon. Anyway, I thought it was dope.
Good shit.
And then they flash forward. Actually, I think technically flash. Yeah, they flash forward to his mom. Or no, they flash
back.
They flash back.
They go back to one of Steven's Marc's birthdays.
Marc's birthdays, yeah.
And then his mom comes down and is like, yo, fuck you.
Fuck you.
Bitch.
And she's drinking. And
Marc's like, you know what? Fuck you. Runs up and then locks the door. And then his mom's like, open up, you piece of shit. And then Marc's like, yeah, that's not my mom. That's not my... And then Steven is created.
And you see Steven, it's the birth of Steven.
It's the birth of Steven. And Steven's watching that, and then he's like, I'm not real. Oh my god, I'm not real.
And you see... it was honestly a little hard to watch, being honest with you. His mom literally breaks down the door, has a belt in her hand.
Yeah.
And I think you could tell what comes next.
But
and they flash forward. They flash forward more, and they actually go back to the asylum, and Marc's like, "Our mom wasn't nice. That's why you're well, Steven, you're right. Is having like a hard time. He's like, I thought I was the real one. And Marc's like, I created you so you never had to see that, so you could live a good life. And Steven's like, it's all just a lie. My mom would never do that. And then Marc's like, your mom's dead. Mom died. And Steven's like, no. And then he flashes into the office with Harrow. And you're like, wait, what? It started to, I was like, wait. And he's like, Harrow. And he's like, and then Harrow's like, oh, Steven, you checked yourself in here after your mom died. And he goes, what? Are you having a laugh? My mom's not dead. And he's like, you're right. Well, I'll call her right now on the phone. And then he's like, no. And he's like, no, it'll just take 1 second. Please get Miss Grant on the phone. And they're like, okay. And then he gives the phone to Steven, and all you hear is, and
he doesn't pick it up. He just starts saying, "Oh no, she is dead. She is." And then we finally get to see the funeral that Marc was going to, and then he didn't show up, and he's just.
Well, he shows up. He just doesn't go inside.
Yeah, he doesn't go inside. He just started walking away, and then had the breakdown, and that's the moment where the lines between Marc and
Steven were broken.
The border between them became shaky, and how Steven became aware.
And that was 2 months before the series started. And then we flash back to we go back to the asylum in Tourette, and they're about to enter Osiris's gates, and so then Tourette's like, sorry boys,
he didn't balance out.
Yeah, and then they're like, fuck, and then Marc's like, stay back, Steve, and all of these
Sand
dead people come up.
Yeah, and they start beating ass, and then Marc's getting overwhelmed, and then Steven's like, yeah, if he's me and I'm him, and starts to beat the shit out of people, and I see something very reminiscent of Mr. Knight just beating the shit out of people with a bat or some kind.
Yeah,
it's like the first steps to really becoming Mr. Knight.
Yeah, and then he frees Marc, and then he gets overrun.
Yeah, Marc is about to be pulled off, and Steven's like, Marc, and grabs him, and then he gets pulled off, and then we see Steven die.
Yeah, he falls in the flames, and Someone mentioned this on Twitter. I saw it was a great a point that I think actually the director of the show retweeted, where that scene where Steven freezes into sand, he's doing the same exact pose, and the shot is exactly like similar to when he was rewinding time, like how his hand is up. This is just a cool parallel.
Yeah.
And the episode ends with Steven dying, and then you're like,
Mark goes
what the
to the
fuck?
field of
Yeah, and
reeds.
the scales balance as soon as Steven disappeared, and Marc is at the very end.
Field of reeds.
Yeah. Cue credits.
Cue credits. No post credit. I thought there was gonna be something. No.
We'll get to the review this August. This episode was really good, and it really was pulling at your heartstrings all the time. And honestly, some of it was like hard to watch. All this like childhood trauma, and you're like, holy shit, we're on Disney Plus.
I'm starting to see why they have the mature. It's not because of violence; it's because of tone.
Yeah. And what are you giving this, August? Because I'm gonna give it 8.5, or maybe even 9.
I'd definitely go with 8.5. Solid, really well written. Deals with problems in a appropriate way.
Yeah, it's very real. And of course, as we've said before, all the cinematography has been great on the show. All the shots have been, I felt, really unique. And I'll say this also: the CGI this episode was really good for Tara and the boat and like the planes, of course. So I really dug that. I think we'll get into the predictions. There's a lot to talk about though. And I'm gonna start this off by saying, so first of all, this episode was really good, and there's only one episode left, which it leaves with a lot of questions. So first of all, we have kind of a checklist to end this series. I hope that I think will happen, and this is as it goes, right? First of all, we have to free God. We then have to come back to life. We then have to fight Harrow, and then we have to like Harrow, who is seemingly like undone his plan. Ahmed's back, so we gotta reseal Ahmed. And then I was like, "Where's Jake?" Oh, and Steven has to like. I think Steven's gonna come back. I can't imagine they kill something so vital that this character. So, yeah, there's a lot of questions. And apparently the runtime for the 6th episode is leaked. People are saying 42 minutes, which would be the smallest episode of them all.
No fucking way.
I don't know how true that is. We'll see, of course, in a couple days. Yeah. Do you have anything to say, August?
If not for the various amounts of teasing for Jake, I would have assumed it would have made sense to me that Marc, after losing Steven, would have tried to make Steven again, trying to create him, and it end up with a Jake instead. So that way, I mean, that would have worked pretty organically, where he feels like he can't live without, like, almost this stand-in for his brother. So he ends up creating someone else that isn't really Steven. And then, or maybe he just, I mean, you could also, now that I think about it off the top of that, like, if he keeps trying to make Steven and he ends up with Mr. Knight instead, or Moonknight.
That would be cool.
Like, or just like separately like he keeps trying to make personalities and just fucks himself up even worse. Which would be interesting, but I don't think that's what they'll do.
I'm gonna stick with what we said last week. I think Jake will be a post-credit scene. I do think I think you're on the right track with like he's gonna feel so alone, like he can't do this by himself, and he's gonna try to make Steven. And I think Steven's gonna come back, but it's gonna be a little different.
A more violent Steven.
Yeah, like he's not gonna be the same.
Yeah.
But besides that, I mean, I think the show's gonna wrap up as I said. They gotta free God, they gotta come back to life. They gotta fight Harrow. They gotta see Met, and then post credit scenes like Jake, or maybe there's 2 post credit scenes because I'm hoping we get something where it sets up. Because I think a Moon Knight movie would really be really dope, or a Moon Knight like team up movie, as we said, like Midnight Suns or like Dark Avengers or Secret Avengers or something, could be really dope. But I don't know.
Yeah, neither. I mean, I'm just really curious where they're gonna go with all this.
Yeah, and I feel like they have a lot of stuff like to answer. I mean, I trust Kevin Feige, so if he's got the vision, I'm sure it's pretty good.
Yeah. I usually there's like theory stuff, but this show can go so many different ways. I don't even know. So, I mean, I definitely think they're going to break Konshu out. I think we're going to see Layla again because on Instagram, the actress who played Layla did a question or ask me anything thing and teased that she has way more scenes to do. That we haven't seen. So
I should say this: someone asked in an interview Oscar Isaac if we'll ever find out what the other sarcophagus was, and he said yes.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, so I'm. That's
it's
also...
Apocalypse.
Yeah,
I had to close it.
X-Men confirmed. Yeah, we'll see. I think that's pretty much it for us.
That's definitely it. I got nothing else.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. We'll be back for the finale.
Anyway, leave your theories in the comments below. Goodbye.